traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. So we're going to get started with our analysis of all the charts, and we're going to start off with the euro dollar. And like I said, this is going to be a pretty slow day. I'm assuming this is going to be a fairly slow day, but you never know. I mean, you never know. Things start ripping around, and next thing you know, you got some busy time on your hands, and you got some nice volatility, and you need to know where the market could potentially go. So, going back to my Thursday analysis, so we, if you're looking at the euro dollar, we actually broke out. We hit 161% extension perfectly. Okay, and I have to go, like I said, I have to go back to my analysis on Thursday. We said, okay, we hit the 161% extension. We should pull back to the breakout point, which is 112.40 basically. That's why I drew this here, and we did. We came down, and even overnight we came down to the 112.40. It took us a little bit of time, a little bit longer than I thought. Oops, that's what I don't want to do. I was thinking it probably was going to happen on Friday, and it never did. It actually happened today. So the great news is now here, make sure you reference this too. Here, let's get rid of this. Make sure you know that this is 161% extension. You see that? 161% extension of the last move down. That's what stopped us, okay? Now, I mean, if you go out to the daily chart, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this now that you know, okay? It's 161% extension. The threat is, at this stage in the game, is that the euro dollar takes out new highs, which will be right here. Okay, that's the new threat, that the euro takes out the new highs. I haven't seen the COT reports from over the weekend, so I don't know how positioning is in the euro right off the top of my head, but I would think that there is a possibility that we take out 114 first, and rally and maybe challenge the underside of this trend line, before it's all said and done. That is a risk at this point. Okay. Today, intraday, the good news is if you want to get long today, you place your stops below today's lows. That's the thing that if you really like, oh, I need to trade today. I need to, I'll give you the dreaded I need to, trade at the moment. Then that means that your risk is below here, more than likely. Okay, I'm gonna look at something else here in just a second, but that is today's lows is the risk. Okay, now let's double check that. If you zoom out a little, or zoom in, excuse me, zoom in a little, you go from the spike low down here to the high. That is a 38% retracement, almost to the pip. Almost, oops, I didn't want to do that. To the pip. That is a 38% retracement. So, again, I will reiterate, if you want to be long the euro dollar, that's fine. You know where your risk is, period. Your risk is below the 38% retracement. Now, I would target, the new highs, and if not higher, obviously the previous highs over here. So you have 1345, basically, and 1380. And 1380 is obviously key resistance, right? We are in a range environment, but as you can see, the euro dollar is starting to look constructive. Okay, it looks constructive for bulls at this point. let's take a look at the cable. So here's the pound. Now the pound got knocked down. Can somebody do really quick? Is Ian Bremer, yeah, or Ian? I'm sorry, Ian Duncan Smith. Is that a that's a Conservative Party member? Is that correct? For those of you that are in the UK, um, that is, yeah. And Nigel said, and pro Brexit, right, right. He's conservative. He wants a Brexit, and it's creating a lot of you know uh, discontent in Cameron's party, I'm assuming, and that's why the cable came under pressure. Okay. Um, Nick also said notoriously Eurosceptic. Okay. So that obviously created the sell off in the cable. Now I mean, the cable's been very resilient. I'm going to delete everything here, and we can start redrawing some stuff too. So let's do this. Okay. This is the daily chart of the pound. So um, hold on one second. Okay, so 145. Obviously, you can take a look around and just realize that 145 is going to be pretty key resistance here. And as we make our way up towards the previous support on a monthly, I know it's a daily chart, but if you're talking a monthly or weekly basis, we're coming up to some pretty key resistance regardless. So as we approach the 145 to 146 level, so you can see why we're getting a bit of a struggle here. Now, you want to talk about like a bigger, inverted head and shoulder pattern trying to develop. It's not symmetrical. We probably need some time to develop here. That means we could pull back in the cable, temporarily. That's definitely doable at this point. Um, I'm not too sure how I would trade the cable at this moment. We have a divergent relative strength. We hit a new high in price. Relative strength did not. Let's see. This might be a 786 retracement. Let me double check. It is. Okay. So on the cable, okay, here's the thing. If you, just thinking out loud here, if you see the cable and know you have a rejection here, right, at the 786, you look at the euro and you go, well, the euro looks pretty bullish as long as it's above 112.35. One of the things you can do is you can buy the euro pound. That is um, a possible trade right now, is going long the euro pound if you want to stay away from the dollar. Just some food for thought. As long as the cable stays below the 786, as long as the euro dollar stays above 112.35, the euro pound, it's probably not a bad pickup on the long side down here. All right. You got everybody trying to play this thing as the head and shoulder pattern too. That's something else you might want to think about. Just some food for thought. I know we're moving kind of slow today, but I'm slow moving, getting up this early in the morning anyway, so it's all good. All right. So key resistance today is going to be 145, any which way you slice it. All right. Let's figure out where support's going to be. So 145. And I'm just going to keep us in a range environment. You know, that's it's a bit of a double top. You know, you got a little false breakout here, double top neckline, takes us just above 143. See if that matches up with anything. Yeah, I mean, you have your 38% retracement down here too. Some, previous resistance coming up. I mean, to me, it looks like we can come all the way down to 139. Maybe 139, roughly 15. Looks very doable. Remember, my hourly charts are screwed up, so just until I figure out what the fix is later today. Since I've been out since Friday, I didn't pursue on Thursday afternoon how to get the fix for these charts. That's why there's these bars. So don't pay real close attention to my hourly. 4-hour charts are fine. Daily charts are fine. Just the hourlies and earlier screwed up. So I'm going to say 143.15 is support, and if you're short, that's probably a decent target. Okay. Okay. 143.15. Let's go over to the Swissy. I can't tell you guys how I am really, really looking forward to the Swissy dropping just a bit further. Okay. Let me delete everything here. God, I don't know if I want to delete everything. Oh hell, why not? Let me just remove everything. So if you go to this is the weekly chart, and you take this huge, okay, okay, okay. Do you guys see it? All right, so there's your resistance, cuts all the way through, and this is really huge. If you guys don't recall, we had a enormous triangle breakout right here, right? And then you can see I'm gonna take that. I'm doubling up on that line for a reason, so let me just make this red. Okay, so you can see we had the massive triangle breakout. Now what we're doing is we're pulling back. I am really hoping that we get to like 95. I mean, we're not too far away, like 95.50. So, what has to happen to get us down here to like 95.50? We have to see a move higher in the euro, probably towards 114. We have to, where the euro has to look like it's at least trying to break out, and it might end up being a false breakout, but it doesn't really matter, as long as we can see that the euro dollar is trying to break higher. If the Swissy looks like it's trying to break lower, I'm looking to buy a dip. All right. So I want you guys to know that I am actually looking for longs at some point. All right. So this support, obviously on the daily chart, this is obviously pretty key. The way I'm thinking this is going to work out at this stage. Okay. The way that I'm thinking this is going to work out is you're going to have this low to high, 127% extension, which will be 125.50, 95.50. I'm buying this dip. Now look at this for a second. You guys see that? This might overshoot, but what I'll do is it's going to get everybody very excited for a move like this. We just might, stop shy of that. I'm hoping we break down. I'm really, really hoping we do. Okay. Obviously, for today, key support is going to be 95.50 or 96.50. I'm sorry. That's key support. Resistance today is going to be the spike high here on the 4-hour. $97.30. And it's in a range, but it looks vulnerable to a break lower. Just again, looks like a break lower towards at least 95.50, and I am going to be a buyer down there. Everybody knows that. I think I've been clear. I don't think that there's that you guys all understand the reasons why, and I am looking for that support. Okay. All right. I'm looking for that support to be on the long side. We could overshoot, obviously, but it still, that's what I'm looking for. Let's go over to the yen. Now, I still have my short dollar yen. Just so you guys know, my cost average right now is 112.80. I'm still short. We did push below the 111, and when we had Mark Chandler on that interview. And by the way, I hope you guys liked that interview with Mark Chandler. We had the push below 111, pop back up. People were thinking intervention. The thing I have to point out is, as strong as equity markets have been, you guys understand that the dollar yen has yet to rally. Even as stocks are near their highs right now, the dollar yen can't even make it back to 112. Pretty amazing, right? I have to say, that's badass, especially if you're short. It really is. The fact that the dollar yen cannot bounce with stocks as strong as they have been says a lot. Says a lot. All right. That means this is just this breakdown here is just an eventuality. It's not like I don't even question it. All right. So at this point, anybody who's on the long side is getting pretty nervous, I would assume. Anybody who's on the long side is going to start getting pretty nervous about being long. So right now, 111.75, which is the spike high right here, that is resistance. And then, obviously 112.10. So I'm going to write down 111.75. Oops, I didn't put the decimal in the right spot. 112.10. Yeah, I'm not trying to move this column over. Trying to make it a little wider. Anyway, dollar yen over here. Support. Support is, obviously the spike low, but really the support is the 618. The 618, there's a breakout point right here. 110.40 is the 618. But for today, let's spike low here. $110.90. I mean, 111 support. We did go as low as 110.66. But for today, 111. I don't know if we're going to make it much past 111 today. Okay, that's support for now. can we do the Canadian really quick? We can. Let's do the Canadian. All right. Here's the Canadian, and yeah, Canadian found support here. Now, I'm going to reiterate if you guys are a little late and you guys missed this from earlier. If you look at crude, all right, here's the May contract. On Friday, we hit previous support, current resistance. I wasn't watching this, so I missed this, and that turn right there at resistance is probably the reason why the dollar yen, or excuse me, the dollar Canadian found support. Also, you combine that with you know, what Joe said a little earlier. You know, that's a monthly, you know, that was the monthly breakout point, you know, pretty close to this right through here. So you combine that with that peak in crude, and that gives you the low that you see in the Canadian, right down here on Friday. Again, I wasn't looking, so I missed all this. That was all the way down at 129.22. So I'm going to write down that, you know, support right now is 129.20. Okay, which will be the basically the spike low over here. Resistance 131. You can see how we congregated right there before we broke down again. So 131 is going to be resistance today. Support is down here at 129.20. And if we break back above 131, we're probably going to start squeezing. So and we are bearishly breaking down. And by the way, we are going to stay in a bearish trend until or unless we break back above this yellow line, just to let you all know. I'm a little nervous about trying to buy the Canadian, but I can see why, you know, we could bounce here. I just would be a little careful, especially if crude, you know, starts to rally again. All right, so here's your bias chart for now. We've still got the, you know, Aussie, the Kiwi, the dollar index, everything else. So the peso. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a few moments. Thanks everybody for being here. Happy Monday to you on a slow going Monday. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. So we have the Kiwi, the Aussie, and the dollar index that we are going to finish up here. So let's take a look at the New Zealand dollar. Okay, and let me pull it up here. So here's the Kiwi. All right, so the Kiwi, you know, I say the rejection of the Kiwi up at, you know, the 69-cent level. I mean, this is huge. Let's delete this red line here and let's make it a little bit more. You know, you can see that right there. Okay, really big resistance, and you know, from here on out, if you want to short the Kiwi, as long as it stays below 68.73, we're at 67.70. Your risk is 100 pips right now. Period. End of story. You know what I mean? That's all there is. There's like no if and or buts about it. You know, your risk is right here. Period. There's nothing better than looking at the market and saying, okay, I know exactly where my risk is, and I think that is it. I mean, if you want to be on the short side, that's it. Period. No questions asked. Gets above there, and we're off to the races. You know, then you're going to start, and it's a tough call too, because when you look at commodities, you know, you look at gold, you look at silver. Those are commodities that could possibly break higher. You've got crude that could possibly break higher. It's hard to step in front of like the commodity train right now, but it is the Kiwi. Kiwi's kind of a piece of garbage anyway, so if you know what I'm saying. But you know your risk. I mean, so the risk is above the high, which is 68.73. I'm going to write down 68.75. 6875. Yeah, we are 100 pips away from there. So do you really want to short it right now and risk 100 pips, or you're going to end up risking 130 or so? Probably not, or unless you're just going to start nibbling. But that's like the defined risk. Now, support for the Kiwi. Let's see what we just did. I mean, obviously we found support here, so why? Sound like my 8-year-old. Why? 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 Well, there's a 38% retracement. We're basically holding. So the spike low, which is 67.45, that's support. I think what I would hope for is I would hope for a bounce in the Kiwi. Like if I wanted to short the Kiwi, this is what I would do. I'd wait for a bounce, then boom, look to short it. Okay, that's what I would do. And you might get it too. I mean, if you look at the euro looks like it could, the euro looks like it could bounce. And if the euro continues to bounce back towards, the break, tries to break 113.50 and maybe even a little higher, then, you have a situation where, the Kiwi might follow it higher. But waiting for the Kiwi to get back to 69.50, that sets up for a really great risk reward on the short side. All right? Okay. Let's go over to the Aussie. I'm just thinking about that Kiwi. Like, I'm contemplating putting out some orders, but I'm gonna stand down for right now. Contemplating it. Wow, look at this Canadian. You know what's crazy about this Canadian? This Canadian's just rallying. Yet we're just firming here. The Canadian's rallying, yet crude oil is still strong. I still own some Euro Canadian, by the way, just so you know. But man, that's strong. Okay. Anyway, I'll come back to that. Let's go over to the Aussie. All right, so here's the Aussie. Now, the Aussie hit the 618. You guys knew that was big resistance from last week. Obviously, it really got confirmed as we, obviously on Friday we hit a new high, couldn't hold. So, I mean, that in itself tells you how important the 7650 is. The 7650, huge resistance. This is another, you take the Kiwi and go, and this is, by the way, it's still bullish. But you take the Kiwi and you go, well, if the Kiwi bounces, let's say, 50 pips from here, shorting the Kiwi makes sense. Well, if the Aussie dollar bounces back to 76.50, could you short it and put your stops above the highs on Friday? That's an idea. Now, I don't know how comfortable I would be, shorting the Aussie. I'd be more comfortable shorting the Kiwi, but I'm just saying. All right. Support for the Aussie. Just like the Kiwi. So 38% retracement, so that means that spike low. 65, 68, 65, 70 is support. Oops. 75, 70, I'm sorry. I say 65, 70. 75, 70 is support. I was thinking about the Kiwi dollar. All right, let me pull up the dollar index. I don't even think I have. Oh yeah, I do. All right, it's up there. I didn't think I had my trading view charts up there. All right, let's go over to the dollar index. Oops. Here's the Dixie. It's a 5-minute chart. Let's go over to a 4-hour. I mean, look at this. Look at this really just shallow, meager bounce in the dollar index. Yikes. See that? What that means to me is this high in the dollar, the one we posted overnight, that's key resistance. So the high is 95.20. $95.36. So 95. I'll just write down 95.35. Okay. 95.35. That's resistance. That is the right here. You can see how we just bounced back. Couldn't make it. You know. Support is going to be this low right here at 94.60, basically. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, we're just range environment. Okay, let's go over to the US dollar Mexican peso. Now the pesos come off, you know, it's like the Canadian. It came off pretty aggressively. Now we broke the support briefly. Let's stop here for a second. I gotta take a good look at this thing. I haven't been able to view it. I saw that we were breaking below 1730, but this is, let's get rid of this one right now. Okay. I mean, we tried to break down on Thursday, Friday, or we tried to break down on Friday, popped our head back up. It looks like I might have misdrew this trend line just a hair. You see that? Yeah, because look, okay, look at this low right here. Look at that low right there. All right. So we basically tried to probe below that trend line, and we popped back up again. Now, Friday's support's going to be key. 1722. We break through that, then we really turn bearish. 1722. That's support. Okay. Resistance now is back at 1761, which is basically 1760. Okay. So 1760 is going to be key resistance on the way back up. So we're boxed in here now. The really great news with the peso is that if we get above here, we start squeezing. That would have to do with risk off, right? And if we get down below here, we just start breaking lower, and we go from a range environment to like bearish trend. So the good news is that we know, and I'm gonna I'll just leave it for right now. those are the parameters for the peso. So 1760 is resistance. So it's actually 1761, but all right, 1761. Okay. We're in a range, but we're holding some pretty critical support as of right now. All right, let's take a look at the Norwegian krona and the Swedish krona. Now, I sold some Norwegian krona on Thursday. I sold it at 8:30, pretty much where we're at, 8:37, I think. Yeah, 8:30, almost 8:38. I sold some on Thursday because we stayed below this 8:42 level. Even today, we almost popped up there. So the high is 841.50. So move up to 842. Great selling opportunity. Well, if you don't know why 842 is so critical, you have to go all the way back here and say 842. Basically, the lows here was 847, but this low right here, 842.80, and that's just, so I'm going to just write down 843, US dollar Mexican peso. $8.43. Its resistance support is 830. Okay, we are attempting to break lower in the peso. Same with the Swedish krona. Now the Swedish krona, we finally broke through the support. I mean, it won't even rally now. I mean, now that was a pretty severe breakdown. Everybody's aching to be on the short side of the Swedish krona. I mean, if we bounce back to 832, I'm going to short it. Okay, just letting you know. 8.32. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to get close to that. But if we get back up there, I'm a seller. Support. I mean, it comes all the way down here, but that's not the support we'll write down today. We'll write down 813. We are in a we're still in a range. I have to say we're still in a range. We're just breaking to the lower end of the range. Okay. Always keep that in mind. All right, there's your bias chart. It is finished. We did a lot of work today. We went kind of slow, which is fine on a day like today. It's not a big deal when there's not a whole lot happening. I think we had a good look at all the charts, so hopefully that analysis finds you well. All right, let's go into your comments.